Make sure you stay to the end because we're going to cover why dumb people make more money than you. Let's go.
You remember how in the Wolf of Wall Street movie, Jordan Belfort would train all those guys to make a bunch of money with him dialing the phone? Well, think back, who were those guys? Were they sophisticated, educated, smart Harvard grads? No, they were actual mindless degenerates that Jordan Belfort found off the streets. Mindless degenerates who were willing to just follow a script.
Good, pick up the phone and start dialing.
And here's the thing, is that this movie was not an exaggeration. In fact, this is how it usually is in real life. Just take a listen to what the former president of the real Wolf of Wall Street had to say about it.
But when I was working for Jordan, the cool thing is that we got a chance to fly around the country all throughout the year. We went from company to company and industry to industry. We got to really see, who are these top performers, who are these people making millions of dollars, whether they're the business owners themselves or they're the salespeople or any other individuals who really make a lot of money. And the crazy thing that I found is that all of the wealthiest people were the most mindless people. And the trick, though, is that they were mindless in the right way.
And part of it is cool, anyone really can get rich. But I bet that a part of you was really annoyed by these types. And you should be annoyed. They're not smart, they're not educated, I'm clearly smarter than them. So why—
What do you guys think when he says mindless? Is it a matter of just sheer luck? Or is it because they were hungry and they put in a lot of hard work and effort to achieve a certain goal?
are they making so much more money than me? Well, the reason why they make more money than you, the reason why you're not a millionaire, might actually be because you're just too smart. No, seriously. It turns out that the average college GPA of the average American millionaire is just a 2.9 GPA.
Anyone who's not from the United States, 2.9 more or less means that you didn't completely fail out of school, but you were very close to it.
Which means that most of the rich people out there, they're not geniuses, they're not intellectuals. They're actually just incredibly average on the intellectual scale. While the people who did go to a good school, who did get a fancy degree, who pride themselves in their education, 9 times out of 10, they always hit a plateau.
That's definitely something that I've seen in real life. It's very rare to find someone who did really well in school actually make millions and millions of dollars consistently each year. Usually the people who did well in school tend to be stuck making six figures the rest of their life. I was super academically tracked my whole life, and I graduated from UCLA around the age of 19 with a degree in math. After going through that, I even went to law school and I got into other, Ivy League master's programs in science and technology. But I went through all of this just to realize that this is all kind of a big scam and a big lie.
This is Arvid Ali, by the way. On top of being the former president of the real Wolf of Wall Street's companies, Jordan Belfort.
That's crazy, because usually those are the type of people that the dumb people will hire in order to do certain aspects of a job that helps keep the company functioning, right? So when you're hiring these smart people that are highly educated, that went to Yale or Harvard or Stanford, and they have great backgrounds in education, those are the kind of people that bring credibility into your organization, that can help generate a good track record when it comes to building a long-term growth business, right? So that's actually pretty smart to hire those people. But from this video, it seems as if those type of people that are very smart, that have a high GPA average, and they graduate from Ivy League colleges, tend to just make six figures or more for a long-term career. However, the ones that truly made it in life, that built a multi-billion-dollar company, they tend to have dropped out or didn't finish college and continue to build their business and generate billions of dollars.
He's also the advisor that celebrities, millionaires, and the ultra-wealthy go to when they want to grow their net worth. He spent a ton of time with the people who actually made it into the 1%, so he knows what they're actually like behind closed doors. He's got his own YouTube channel that we'll link below. You should definitely subscribe if you like what he says in this video. And I wanted to ask him why. Why is it that quote-unquote dumb people end up making more money than quote-unquote smart people? And we're gonna expose it all in this video. Let's get something out of the way first that I know a lot of you are thinking. But Jake, what about the tech billionaires and the finance billionaires out there? They're not dumb, they're geniuses. I can never be as smart as them. Well, in actuality, most of the billionaires you see are not geniuses. They're just really great at playing the character of a genius.
What you'll always find is it's only the tech billionaires and the finance billionaires that
aggressively try to portray themselves as geniuses. Nobody else really does.
Why would they go through such lengths to pretend to be a genius? Simple. It's because their entire business model relies on convincing you to invest your money with them, to invest in their startup, to invest in their investment fund. And the only way they're gonna get people to invest is if the masses believe that they're a genius. After all, I am a genius, so your money is much better off in my hands than yours. The perfect example of this is Elizabeth Holmes of Theranos. Before she was exposed, everyone thought she was a genius. But when it all came crashing down, everyone realized that she was no genius. No, she was just obsessed with looking like a genius. She was copying all the quirks of Steve Jobs, all in an effort to get people to invest into Theranos. It was the same story with Sam Bankman-Fried. Everyone thought he was this eccentric genius, but as it turns out, he was also a complete dum-dum. Same thing with the WeWork guy. Same thing with the WeWork guy's lead investor, Masayoshi Son. And the same thing with so many other geniuses of yesteryear. And yet for some reason, we still want to believe in these types.
It's not like a situation where you find, people sitting in some room, planning and strategizing and being some genius. No one's sitting there trying to be some genius, and it never works out. And it's nice, especially I think for guys, we want to fantasize that we can just sit there and be a genius and make a lot of money. But the real world does not reward that in any way. It just rewards the person who actually cares to be of value to more people.
So the next time you see some billionaire trying to market themselves as this all-seeing genius, you and I will know that it's all a charade. But that still begs the question, why are most wealthy people quote-unquote dumb then? Barbara Corcoran was called the dumb kid all through high school. She was a straight D student who couldn't read or write thanks to her dyslexia. At 23 years old, she borrowed $1,000 from her boyfriend to start a real estate business, and today she's worth more than $100 million. Mark Cuban only got through his college technology course because he cheated on his exams. And instead of going to some Ivy League business school, he picked Indiana University without ever seeing the campus, just because it was the cheapest option available. After college, he was fired or quit 3 straight jobs before finding something he was good at. Ironically, it turned out to be tech, the same subject he had to cheat in order to pass. And today, Mark Cuban is worth more than $6 billion. Barbara and Mark are 2 of the most well-known investors on Shark Tank. And if you look at the other sharks' backgrounds, you will find the same story. Almost all of them were average or pretty bad in school. And of those that actually made it to college, most ended up in some average school and they majored in something completely unrelated to business. As kids, society branded them as failures. They were the ones that were all called dumb at some point in their lives. And yet these people with their 2.9 GPAs make up the vast majority of the ultra-wealthy. Why?
If you look at the people who can keep building and growing their business for the long term, not just for some 3-month stint where they thought of something crazy and it might work out initially, people who really build a business for the long term are simply the people who allow themselves to turn off their brains and, most importantly, turn off their ego and let their pride step to the side for a second, and are willing to do the unsexy process of knocking on doors, of the unsexy process of making phone calls, doing cold emails, being of genuine service to people, and not trying to figure out a scheme. It's really about like how many people can you actually be of service to. And even if, like, for example, if you have a restaurant, you can get really busy with one restaurant and have some number of customers, but the person who makes a lot of money is just the guy or girl who decides to keep opening up more restaurants and goes through that process of improving herself or improving himself to actually be able to keep servicing more and more customers. And that's this really, really simple answer to it, is it does not require some genius plan and some genius sort of scheme.
For example,
be it smart, be it dumb, when you're running a business operation and you're doing a good job of it by hiring the right people that are put in place into those jobs that have the functionality to keep the business going, and you're employing people, then that means you can't really do it alone, right? So in and of itself, that is actually very smart. And a lot of dumb people or business owners that we know of today that are considered dumb people have done this. They've duplicated the process, they've employed the right people and put them in positions of power that will help generate more cash flow in certain operations. And when it comes to corporate governance, it's just a matter of managing and making sure that you have the right people in place that are going to do a good job so that you can remove any weaknesses and put in more strengths.
Say you were one of these kids that society branded as dumb, and you decide to start your own business. You create your products, and now you have to go knocking door to door to try to sell it. And right from the start, you get a lot of negative reactions. People ignoring you, slamming the door in your face, that kind of thing. But since you're mindless in the right way, since you don't have an ego and are like, I'm too smart for this, you just keep knocking, you just keep picking up the phone. Maybe it takes 100 or even 200 doors, maybe it takes 100 or even 200 phone calls, but just by the sheer law of numbers, eventually someone is gonna buy. And once you get that first sale, then you just keep mindlessly repeating that and improving it, and then that one sale turns into 2, then 100, then 10,000. Since you had no ego, you probably asked for help and found the right teacher along the way, and with that right teacher, you just kept mindlessly listening to them. You didn't try to reinvent the wheel. So those 10,000 sales eventually turn into 1,000,000 sales, and then boom, one day you wake up and you find yourself among the 1% of society. Not because you were smart, but because you were mindless in the right way. Now let's compare this to someone educated, someone smart in society's traditional sense. Why can't they do this? Let's say you take a straight A student that graduated from a top university, they started business and now it's time for them to go door to door trying to sell it. Well, this guy has probably spent his entire life hearing how smart he is, how people expect great things out of him. And due to his 4 to 8 years of conditioning, education in university, he's been taught that as long as he follows the rules, he will get rewarded. As long as he memorizes the thing and fills in the correct bubble, he will pass. So what do you think is going to happen the moment that he knocks on a door and gets rejected? Do you think he's just going to mindlessly continue? No, I did the thing and it didn't work. When I do the thing I'm taught in school, it always works. So this is a sham, I quit. And so he quits. He quits doing the one thing that would have guaranteed him making a lot of money. And it's not his fault that he's like this, it's the education system's fault.
Yeah, I mean, the most important thing is school does not reward you for actually giving value to anybody. You see what I'm saying? So it has no correlation to making money. The only thing that determines how much money you make is how much value you can provide to other people's lives, either through the products you create or through the services you provide. And at what point did you ever do that in school? Everything that you learned in school is nonsense, in my opinion. Like once you get very sort of advanced level with anything related to math or science, you start to quickly realize that everything that was taught was distilled in such a way where it can't possibly even make that much sense for the average person. But it's more so testing your ability to memorize things in a certain way, memorize techniques in a certain way, and show that you are a good sort of worker in the factory, as they say. And that is, as most people know now, like that is what school is designed to do.
Are you actually adopting the skill sets that you need in the real world behind a business that's going to generate multi-millions for your company? Are you actually in a position in school where it's going to give you those real world skill sets behind a business as an entrepreneur, working with others in the field to generate millions of dollars? Do you think school is going to do that for you? Depending on how you structure your business, or if you're going to go into private practice, if you're a doctor and you want to scale up and utilize the digital age to do that, then you can. These guys are making millions of dollars per year, and they went to college for that. They got a law degree, they passed the bar, they did certain things in terms of their education so that they can learn and apply those skill sets in the real world as a lawyer. And the same thing goes for a doctor. But if you're just in college and you're in college for 2 years getting your associate's degree, is it really paying off for you by the time you graduate? That's the question. Who knows? Let's find out.
Especially during the Industrial Revolution, it was just simply designed to create good factory workers at the end of the day. So there's nothing about school that in any way correlates to your ability to make money, because again, you're not actually adding any real value to people. There might be a counter argument to this, which is, school teaches you skills and knowledge so then you can provide value to people. That's almost never the case. Like even if you go through K through 12, even if you go through undergrad, and even if you go through med school and law school, there's very little that you learn in any of these environments that you actually apply into the real world. And anyone who's in a very, very advanced level lawyer or advanced level doctor, they'll tell you this, privately, is that everything that they learned, even in med school or in law school, it almost never applied to the real world. So it's only through your actual experience in directly helping people and getting better at helping people that you can actually make a lot of money.
So where do most of these smart people end up? Well, most of the time, they end up chasing respectable positions that will make their parents proud, that will boost their ego, or where they're just a cog in the wheel following orders just like school, things like finance or consulting. Sure, I have to slave away 10 hours a day until I retire. Sure, it will take me decades to climb the corporate ladder, and eventually I'll make more than 6 figures. But hey, I'm a consultant for McKinsey. I'm an analyst for Goldman Sachs on Wall Street. All I have to do is run on the treadmill and I'll get a modest carrot, just like school. Count me in. And to be clear, there's nothing wrong with this if you're okay making this trade, but the price you pay for this is being stuck at 6 figures until you're old and feeble.
Yeah, and a very obvious way to visualize this is like imagine you were trying to get really fit and you want to start working out. The best thing you could do is definitely go to an actual expert, in the type of fitness that you're into, and have that expert give you all the strategies and the plans and everything that you need to do. But then you just go do it. It doesn't require a bunch of thinking. Like that's how the sort of life works. Is you can go to an expert, get the right answers, and then you just do the actual steps that you need to do to mirror, what that expert is showing that you can get to in terms of end results. So if you can just find that expert first, that's the tricky part for most people in most industries, is just finding the right expert that they can trust.
So being able to strategically align yourself with an expert, a mentor, and become a mentee, someone that's going to take you under their wing and be able to apply the same skill sets that they teach you into the real world and duplicate the process so that you can generate millions, if not billions of dollars. That is the key, ladies and gentlemen. That is how dumb people make more money than you.
And usually most experts that, especially online, that present themselves as experts, they're not in any way a real expert. What they're really doing is giving you information that makes you feel like they're a genius and that you need to trust them because they're some genius, and that more importantly, you need to become a genius yourself in order to make money. So those...
He's right. You'll see all these ads on YouTube, on these online gurus. I've been in the e-commerce game for more than 10 plus years. I've generated over $100 million, and I've done this and I've done that, and I've helped over 500 students, and this is why you should join my program, because it's going to change your life for the better. I'm this super genius who's figured it all out. When really, they went through a lot of hardships, and they're just as dumb as you are. Now, I'm not saying you guys are dumb. But we're all dumb in some ways when it comes to knowledge that we don't have access to, right? So having the right access to the right knowledge that's going to procure you a successful future is critical in this day and age.
Those tend to be most of the people that speak publicly in the business space. And that's why, when you follow most of these people, you don't really get good results, because they're trying to imply that business itself is a complicated process. And hence, the reason you're failing is because you don't realize how complicated it is, and you need to keep navigating this complicated process with them. You never really get any genuine results. The people who actually provide real results are simply the experts who show that it's a simple step-by-step process, and it's not that you need to be some sort of genius. A lot of people, including myself, always looked up to people like Elon Musk and Peter Thiel and Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos, all these random different individuals who present themselves as some genius. And the nice thing that they do is they make you feel like really good about yourself, like, oh, I really like this person, he's a genius, now I can keep being I can keep going down this path of wanting to be a genius, and somehow I'll make a lot of money. I've never found that these people actually gave me real value in real life where I suddenly made a lot of money because I followed in their footsteps. The only people where you can, follow in their footsteps and make a lot of money are the people who actually have businesses or have a way of doing business that you can directly, imitate.
And we say all this coming from personal experience.
So there you have it, guys. In the end, it all boils down to you. What experience are you gaining in the real world to apply skill sets that you've learned so that you can generate exponential amounts of money? Do you have a mentor? Are you a mentee? Are you under leadership of someone who actually has applied themselves in the real world, that owns multiple businesses, that's done the entrepreneurial game and has made millions, if not billions of dollars, and is teaching you those skill sets? Now, I'm not saying these people aren't online, and these online gurus that have done e-commerce and a lot of other different types of business genres and different categories or subcategories or what have you aren't actually making millions of dollars, that can't teach you those skill sets. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is it in college? That's the question. Thanks for watching Nova Society. Please subscribe to the channel, like this video, and leave us a comment. Until next time, I'm out.